Laudetur Jesus Christus, Vatican and World News.
Today, Monday, January 18th, is the feast of Saint Prisca, Virgin and Martyr. And these are today's headlines. The Central African Republic's bishops encourage solidarity and dialogue on the path toward peace. The bishops of Myanmar urge donations to help buy COVID-19 vaccines. And an ecumenical monastic community provides the theme for the week of prayer for Christian unity, which begins today. In the Vatican, I'm Christopher Wells. Our top story today, the bishops of the Central African Republic highlight faith, hard work, dialogue, and patriotism as key elements to steering the conflict-ridden country from its current troubled situation. Father Benedict Mayaki has this report.
In a message addressed to the faithful at the beginning of the new year, the bishops of the Central African Republic have called for peace, dialogue, and solidarity towards building a country of patriotic citizens. The message, according to the bishops, is meant to be both an echo of the citizens' cries of suffering and a voice of comfort and hope in the country which has been strongly affected by intensifying violent clashes and mass displacements in the wake of a contested presidential poll organized in December. The bishops drew attention to the deteriorating situation of insecurity and fear caused by coalition armed groups and their political allies. This, they said, has led to massive displacements of the population, paralysis of economic, health and agricultural activities, and impediments to free movement of persons and goods. They further noted that the misery of the Central African people is unspeakable when populations in perpetual displacement are forced to find refuge in inhuman conditions in the forest, and when children have to end their schooling because of a poorly managed COVID-19 pandemic. The bishops also called on the citizens to be inspired by the national motto, unity, dignity, and work, and the principle of Zokwe Zo, which means every human being is a person. This motto and principle, the bishops hoped, would be a star to guide the authorities to whom they have entrusted the destiny and the sovereignty of the country. Furthermore, the bishops called on citizens to make use of the Central African genius with honest, organized, and courageous work, and called for a sincere and fraternal constructive dialogue towards finding lasting peace while rejecting hatred, violence, and the spirit of revenge. Let us stop harming each other collectively, said the bishops. Let us stop creating divisions that are contrary to the spirit of our motto. Let us stop self-destructing. Let us not forget that coming together is a beginning, staying together is progress, and working together ensures success. Let us be united forever to save our nation, the bishops said. I am Father Benedict Mayaki.
From the Americas, in Chile, one of Chile's most prominent church leaders has criticized the government for lacking a national project to unite Chileans in the face of the ongoing pandemic. As Stephen Watkins reports, the Archbishop of Concepcion says people have expressed their unhappiness with the current political system.
Archbishop Fernando Chomali of Concepcion has expressed his concern with the direction Chile is taking in an interview with El Sur, a daily newspaper. The COVID-19 pandemic, he said, has brought to the fore a major problem facing the nation. There is no national project or comprehensive vision of the meaning of the human person and the community, he said. The Archbishop pointed out that last October's referendum revealed Chileans' discontent with their political leaders. Chile held a national plebiscite on October 25, 2020, in which 78% of voters approved plans for a new constitution to be written by a constitutional convention. The referendum was held as a result of massive nationwide protests in late 2019 and early 2020. Archbishop Chomali said the situation merits extensive reflection. He added that the new constitution can be a good occasion to put in place a reference point for rights and duties, as well as for political power and how we define ourselves as a society. However, he warned it would be wrong to believe that the new constitution will solve the problems facing a majority of the population today. The Archbishop of Concepcion also reflected on the ongoing pandemic and the Church's mission to care for the marginalized. Chile has reported nearly 670,000 COVID-19 cases and over 17,000 deaths. Despite the difficult health situation, Archbishop Chomali praised the Catholic Church for its ministers' efforts to care for the poor. He cited the opening of several soup kitchens as well as a care center for migrant women and children, which also welcomes the homeless. The local church, he added, continues to fundraise and support a project to protect young people with Down syndrome. Finally, Archbishop Chamali urged Chileans to think about their loved ones as they follow health guidelines. This is a good opportunity to recognize that we are not alone, he said, that we owe a great debt to one another, and that everything we do will have either a positive or a negative effect on others. I'm Devin Watkins.
Elsewhere in world news, several countries have condemned the detention of Russia's leading opposition politician, Alexei Navalny, 5 months after he was poisoned with a nerve agent. Stefan Boss has this report.
A judge agreed with state prosecutors that Russia's most prominent Kremlin critic, Alexei Navalny, should be jailed for 30 days. And another court is due to decide whether to convert a suspended 3.5-year sentence into real jail time. He received the sentence on what he and his supporters view as politically motivated charges of embezzlement. Monday's court hearing came after Navalny was detained the previous evening at a Moscow airport. In a video, Navalny explained that he was taken out of prison for a meeting with his lawyers. He wondered why the trial is held inside a police station. He called the hearing the highest degree of lawlessness. The troubles began late Sunday when he was flying home from Germany for the first time since he was poisoned last summer. Police could be heard saying that they would have to use physical force or other means if he doesn't turn himself in voluntarily. His lawyer could be heard protesting, but it didn't impress the police. Navalny kissed his wife goodbye and was being taken away. The arrest happened in Moscow after his flight was diverted. It came as a disappointment for many supporters who were expecting him at a different airport. Police began cracking down on them. Several people were detained. Navalny was returning to the country 5 months after being almost killed in a nerve agent attack he blamed on the Kremlin. Moscow has denied involvement. The United Nations and Western countries told Russia on Monday to immediately free the opposition politician. Some nations called for new sanctions, but Moscow told them to mind their own business. For Vatican News, I am Stefan Bos, reporting.
The church in Myanmar is urging the faithful to make donations to help the government purchase its stock of COVID-19 vaccines. The Catholic Bishops' Conference of Myanmar, CBCM, issued a letter on Sunday appealing to Catholics to contribute to the government's fund through their local bishops, who will then pass it to the government's fund. Robin Gomes has more on that story.
The appeal for donations by the Catholic Bishops' Conference of Myanmar, CBCM, came after its online meeting January 12th to 13th, signed by CBCM President Cardinal Charles Bo of Yangon and General Secretary Auxiliary Bishop John Saw Yohan of Yangon. The letter encouraged Catholics to continue following the COVID-19 guidelines issued by the Ministry of Health. The bishops expressed gratitude to people taking part in the prevention and treatment of COVID-19 together with the government. Myanmar's Central Committee on Prevention, Control and Treatment of COVID-19 set up a fund management subcommittee on December the 30th for the purchase of vaccines. On January 5th, the government opened a foreign currency account and a local Myanmar currency account for donations with a contribution of 1 billion kyats by the state. Within a week, some 13 billion kyats, equivalent to $10.2 million were received in public donations. While noting that the vaccines point to the dawn of hope to escape the deadly coronavirus, Myanmar's bishops in their letter also stressed that the epidemic is a warning of the need for peace and harmony with nature, our motherland. They said all of us as parents now need more and more to be left in the middle of a greener world so that our children can inherit what is right without wasting all our resources. Myanmar has approached India and China for its supply of vaccines. On 7th December, it also submitted a request to COVAX for its poor people. COVAX is a multilateral platform that the World Health Organization has set up to ensure rapid, fair, and equitable access to COVID-19 diagnostics, treatment, and vaccines for people in all countries. In Myanmar, healthcare workers and the elderly are the first in line for vaccination, and the government hopes to inoculate 40% of its 54.4 million population by the end of 2021. I am Robin Gomes.
And in news from here at the Vatican, Pope Francis on Monday named a new secretary of the Congregation for the Causes of Saints. Bishop Fabio Fabene, the titular bishop of Montefiascone, has served since the 8th of February 2014 as the undersecretary of the Synod of Bishops. He will now take up the role of secretary for the Congregation for Causes of Saints. The congregation each year prepares everything necessary for the Pope to be able to set forth new examples of holiness. After approving the results on miracles, martyrdoms, and heroic virtues of various servants of God, the Holy Father is then able to proceed to a series of beatifications and canonizations. Finally, the week of prayer for Christian unity kicked off today to conclude next Monday with the celebration of Vespers presided over by Pope Francis and other Christian leaders in the Basilica of St. Paul's outside the walls in Rome. For the occasion, Christians of all denominations are invited to join in prayer throughout the week, making use of daily meditations, prayers, and other materials provided by the Pontifical Council for Promoting Christian Unity, as well as ecumenical partners. As Linda Bordoni reports, the theme for the 2021 week and the meditations have been discerned and written by a group of monastic sisters in Switzerland.
There are about 50 nuns who make up the monastic community of Grand Champ in Switzerland. They come from different churches and different countries, but they have all committed to seek the path of reconciliation between Christians and respect the whole of creation. They were tasked with choosing the theme for this year's Week of Prayer for Christian Unity and for writing the daily meditations that Christians across the globe are invited to reflect on. The theme they have chosen is from the Gospel of John. It is, "Abide in my love, and you shall bear much fruit." In an interview with Vatican Radio, the prioress, Sister Anne Emmanuel, explained it allowed the sisters to share the experience and wisdom of their contemplative life, abiding in the love of God, and to speak about the fruit of this prayer. The community that was formed in the first half of the 20th century from the start had close ties with both the community of Taizé and with Abbé Paul Couturier, a seminal figure in the history of the Week of Prayer for Christian Unity. Sister Anne Emmanuel said the unity we pray for at Grand Champ is reflected in the daily life of the community, and not only at a liturgical or dogmatic level. Each sister, she said, has to leave the specificities of her church to enter into the dimension of the community. And this journey invariably evokes all the richness of the universal church that emerges from this unity. We all humbly advance on the path of Christ's love, she said, and we work to fulfill this verse of St. John, although it is a difficult verse, because there are inner struggles pulling us apart. Sister Anne Emmanuel invited all believers to set out on this journey in a spirit of true reconciliation between Christians across the human family and always with respect for the whole of creation. I'm Linda Bordoni.
And you can find the biblical reflections for the Week of Prayer for Christian Unity on our website and also on our Facebook page. That brings us to the end of this edition of Vatican and World News. Many thanks to our sound engineers and producers in studio. In the Vatican, I'm Christopher Wells.